This is a message to all my supporters of this podcast. I'm introducing a new supporters program. You can contribute a small amount as a one-off payment to show your love for this podcast. Thank you in advance for all your contributions.
This is the Absolute Business Mindset podcast, created and hosted by Mark Hayward. I'm a corporate employee with an entrepreneurial mindset. This podcast will help and support you with new ideas about business. These are my thoughts, ideas and comments. Today we're going to talk about negotiating and my top ways of being able to negotiate yourself to success, whether it's a property, whether it's a business, whether it's shares, you might need to negotiate. These are the ways that you're going to be able to perfect your negotiation tactics. Hi everyone, Mark Hayward from the Absolute Business Mindset podcast. Today I'm going to talk to you about negotiating, so please do listen in. I really appreciate you being there, and I'm going to talk to you about negotiating. So go straight into it. There are 12 items that I'm going to talk to you about. So I want to talk to you firstly about what to be able to negotiate. You should always think about delaying. Now you might ask yourself, well, what does that mean? You need to be able to think through what you're going to say first. You need to be able to be considered and work out what your strategy is. So don't jump in too quickly. You need to sometimes just delay it, think about it, and don't move too quickly, okay? Number 2, don't be a child. Negotiating is not child's play. You need to really think about your strategy, think about how you want to deliver it, and the steps that you need to do in there. So don't be childish. Don't get offended. Negotiating is not a. You can't just think about it as a winner and a loser. You got to not be childish. And the other thing, which has frustrated my mentor when he was talking to me about negotiating, he said often, in most cases, there's not this middle ground that you think you're always going to get. There is some people that are in a stronger position, there's some people in a weaker position. Invariably, in most cases, you don't get that middle ground. I'll give you an example. I was putting a bid into a property, and I wanted this property and I wanted it quickly. It was being able to put the you were going to take it off the market before it even got to an open house. So I spoke to the agent afterwards, and he said, just look for the middle ground and you'll be able to get the property. So I did. I went between, there was a range of asking price, and I went in the middle, and it got accepted. So for me, I got everything I wanted. But when I was talking to my mentor about it, he said, if you'd have offered something a little bit less and then moved up to what you were willing to price yourself at, it might have taken a little bit longer, but you might have saved a couple of £1,000s. And actually, when you're talking about pricing on properties and you're thinking about negotiating mortgages and loans, actually £5,000, £2,000, £2,500 actually is quite important for that. So don't always be trying to find this middle ground. Everyone has this idea of a negotiation that you go low and then they say high and then you meet in the middle. In most cases that never happens, so don't be overawed by that. And the other thing that's tagged onto that is you have to be realistic. You can't chuck a too low offer. People are just going to refuse it, and if they refuse a silly offer, they're not going to want to do business with you. So you've got to be realistic. You've got to know what you can offer something below, because you never know, you might get something. If you're in a stronger position, they might give you what you want. But it's all about people in strong positions and people being realistic and pragmatic, rather than there being an outline perfect way of doing this. So number 3 is let the other person give you the offer first that they want. So this is actually quite a good technique, because it gives you the ability to be able to listen to what they're willing to accept. So if you're buying, say, a property and they say, I want this, then you might say, well, I'll offer you a little bit lower. If they actually say, well, I'm looking for, what I want is a quick sale and I want to do it quickly, so if you offer me this, I'll do it. So sometimes it's better to, before putting an offer in yourself, ask the question what they would be willing to take as an offer. So it's just a strategy, this, but getting someone else's opinion on what they will offer first is actually a very clever way of being able to negotiate down from what you're willing to pay, because you then know their strength in position, whether it's a quick sale, whether it's they'll hold out for the price they actually want. You then find out what that price they actually want. So always think about getting that other offer in first. Number 4 is you need to think about what you want. You need to be able to list out what you actually want to if it's, say, a property price, what do you want? Do you want the property to be emptied? Do you want the property to be furnished? Do you want something to be removed, something knocked down, something left? So it's really important to really think about what you want before you go into the negotiations. Do you want a low price? Do you want all furnished? Totally dependent on every situation, but it's worth pre-negotiating, list out the things that you want, and then when you're in negotiations, you can then think about, well, actually, I'll bump up the price, but I'm able to get this, this, and this, which I didn't think I was going to get. So you've got to be clear on your strategy. You've got to be clear on what you want. So always think about that beforehand. Number 5 is who else is actually interested. So if you've got other bidders on property, I'm talking about property a little bit because it's very in the forefront of my mind at the moment with a couple of purchases that I'm going through with. So who else is interested? Is there other interested parties? That makes it more complicated. So if someone else wants it, it can often turn into a bidding war. You do need to be super careful going into a bidding war, because you then pay over the odds to what you don't actually want to pay. So please think who else is involved, because that puts you in a weaker position. If you want a property and there's 3 other people which are bidding, you're probably going to either pay over the odds, which you might or might not be able to afford. You might just completely pull out and go, actually, this is going too high. I've got a strict strategy, a strict price range that I want. I don't want to go above that. Equally, if there's no one in that offer, then you're in a stronger position, because you're able to be able to put an offer in that might be accepted, as you are the sole person that is interested in that property. So really, really important to work out, find out whether it's from an agent, who else is interested, who else is bidding, what they're bidding. Often you don't get told what they're bidding, but you're given that there are interested parties and they're looking to price it as this or that. So number 6, tied into what we've just talked about, is if you know the interested parties, you've got to be prepared to walk away. Sometimes the price goes too high. Sometimes the deal isn't worth doing. You need to be 100% sure that this is what you want. And if it isn't, if there's something that you're not feeling is completely right, walk away. It's so important. There are going to be other deals. There's going to be other prices. There's going to be other properties, maybe better. So you've got to be prepared to walk away. Some people use that as a tactic. I'm going to walk away. I'm not interested, and hoping that the other team, other people like selling a property, well, we really want to sell it now, we'll knock down the price. That does happen. It's a risky strategy. It's not any of these 12 which I'm going to talk to you about, but if you use it as a strategy of walking away with the premise of they might come back, if you're going to roll the dice, you've got to be prepared to lose. This is one of the things that I got taught, and I think is incredibly important. If you think you're in that stronger position and you threaten to walk away and they go, all right, we'll wait for something else, don't go back. You can't go back. You can't go back to that sort of situation, because you have threatened to walk away, you have to stick by your guns, because if you then go back and then say, well, actually, I thought you were going to put an offer in, what about this? You're in a weakened position. They can then renegotiate you even lower. So I think it's really, really important. If you threaten to leave, walk away. So that general number 6 is you've got to be prepared to walk away if it's not right for you. If you threaten to walk away and they call you a bluff, walk. Okay. Number 7, you got to be able to add value. Add value all the time, whether it's when you're negotiating up or down, you got to be able to add the value. So you got to get the price that they want. And it's not all about you, because the seller, it's in their mind, it's all about them. In your mind as the buyer, it's all about you. But as the buyer, you've got to think that there's other interested parties, there's other people involved in this. It's not my show. I'm going in to negotiate. It's not all about being able to get the ego trip that I want. It's not all about you. You've got to make sure that you understand that and you respect that. Number 8 is remember patience. So patience in negotiating, patience in looking for properties. Sometimes they come, sometimes they go. You got to be patient to make sure that you are getting what you want. Not everything happens fast. So you might put an offer in and it might take a couple of days to come through. If you're the only people that are offering, it might take a couple of days. Don't rush in. Often you have agents in between that can sort of mediate and say they're thinking about it. They'll come back to you if they've got any questions, and you've got that sort of mediator, which sometimes helps. If you're not in property and you haven't got that mediator and you're like negotiating a business, selling a business, be patient, take your time. The offer might come in and might go, but you might get another offer. You need to be crucially patient. I think patience is probably the best in selling a business. If you want to sell a business and you're gearing up to be able to sell a business, that dream ticket might come along, but actually it's not right for you at that time. They might have unrealistic aims, like unrealistic provisos that they want part of that deal. Sometimes you have to think about it's linked a little bit to being able to walk away. You need to be able to give yourself time to think. Take some time away. You've got the time. You can sit and think about it. Be patient. If you're a seller, be patient. You never know, there might be another offer coming in. Make the right choice for you. If you're the buyer, you got to hold fire. You put a bid in, wait it out. There's nothing more you can do until the offer is accepted or declined. Number 9, something I have promoted, I haven't promoted, I have promoted. You got to trust your gut. I think with this property stuff that I'm doing, you got to trust your gut. When you're negotiating a salary, you got to go with your gut. You got to be realistic and you got to go with your gut. It does give you some insight. If you've had a track record of following your gut or knowing your decisions were right, even if it didn't work out, you knew your decisions were right. If you trust, so using your gut as a massive director for you, it's all about trusting your choices that you've made previously. So if you make sound, good choices, then you can trust your gut. If you're erratic, if you make bad choices, then I would say be careful of trusting your gut, because it might mistreat you and you might need some more coaching, mentoring to be able to get that trust. I'll give you a bit of insight into myself. So probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I didn't trust my gut instinct. I never trusted. I thought my gut was a particular member of my family, which I thought influenced me negatively in business, not in personal lives, but in business. I thought they misjudged. They made misjudgments. So I think you've got to be able to trust your gut if it's right. So that might take some mentoring, some coaching, so some decent conversations to be able to, because sometimes these people in your head, this is just So psychologically, sometimes there's people that thought processes you go through are certain types of people. It might be your mum, it might be your dad, it might be your uncle, it might be your mentor, your coach, your boss. And sometimes if you trust that voice in your head that you believe it to be true, your gut's going to be all right. So my gut instinct, I kind of think is now me, because I've taken in various sources of trusted people and assimilated, talked to them. I've read books. I've listened to podcasts. I've even done podcasts where I've really respected people's views. And I'm in a fortunate position with these podcasts is I'm culminating information all the time. It takes hard work. You need to do podcasts. You need to do your interviews. You need to have great mentors, great coaches. You need to have trusted advisors. And for me, I've now built a network that I now trust I might take from different people. When you're younger, you tend to be influenced by one person, and that's your gut, and that's true or false or good or bad. When you get a little bit older, I think you need to suddenly you merge these mindsets, these ideas, these processes in your head, and for me, the older you get, the better your gut instinct has come. For me personally, I know a lot of people when they're 18 they trust their gut, and that's amazing, and I didn't, I think it's really, really incredible. You've had some great people around you at 18. You trust your gut 100%, and you make right choices all the way along. So I think it's not easy, but you've got to be able to get the right people around you. The whole saying, the 5 people that are around you are your biggest influences, so choose them carefully. So for me, and mindset-wise, my mindset is now I've taken great people that have been in my life and been able to meld them into a mindset that when my gut needs to be thought, I trust it. Right, number 10, renegotiate if needed. You've always got that option to be able to renegotiate, even if you put yourself in a bad position. If you really want that trade, that property, that business, there's always a way of being able to renegotiate. You might go in as a stronger position or a weaker position, depending on what your initial bid or deal was, but there's always renegotiation, so just be mindful of that. There is always a backstop, because you can always offer more money, or you can always put other provisos in, so that's all important to understand. The other thing in negotiations, like for a deal on a business, you should prepare. I talk a lot about preparing and being able to prepare for a presentation, a demo, a deal. But the important thing is you need to prepare, but don't script it. You don't want to have it all scripted out in your head, because these things are malleable. These things are fluid. They're not strictly go through 3 steps like a flow chart. You don't always go 1, 2, 3. You might go to 1 and then 27 comes up as a side swipe you're not expecting to see. So you can prepare, but it's crucial you're not dogmatic and you're not just got a script that you only can go by, because you will get into a negotiation that you're not in control of, and it's all about control and negotiating. You've got to be in control of your emotions, control of your ideas, know what you want to say, know what you want to be able to influence people with and negotiate, but it can't just be one way. You've got to be malleable. You've got to trust your gut. All these other things that I've talked about before. So this is number 11. All those other 10 items, you've got to build them up, but you cannot be scripted, because you will fail. There'll be something that's outside of the box which you haven't thought of, and then you might make a bad decision. Right, the last one is number 12. It should be easy. In theory, it would be great if every negotiation was easy, and it's all about the value that you bring. So if you're bringing value to the party, if you're bringing money to buy that house, if you're bringing value of the business that you're selling, it should be quite easy. People should be able to see that it's right to put that price on, and you're happy and they're happy. It's sometimes overthought, and it can be so convoluted that actually you put so many provisos, so many conditions on the deal that it turns out sour. And when you put too many sort of ideas to the table, some people just get frustrated and don't want to know, and they'll walk away themselves. So you should bring value. It should be nice and easy. You should be able to talk your way into a deal and deliver it. Right, thank you very much. That is the 12 ways to negotiate. Just a last shout out at the end. Could you please, any ideas, any views that you've got about the podcast, the YouTube channel, what you want me to talk about, maybe the interviews that you want me to go and try and reach out to, please do drop a mail to absolutebusinessmindset@gmail.com. I would love to hear your ideas. Equally, you can find me on all the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on all platforms. Do look out. It's got the emblem, the logo, so look out for the logo and then you'll find me. So thank you very much, everyone. I've really appreciated your time. I've really enjoyed speaking to you about negotiating. I think it's a skill that is incredibly important, quite hard to learn, but if you follow those 12 easy steps, you should be able to go into negotiating with strength rather than a weakened position. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.
To make sure millions of people are getting paid on time and in compliance, ADP is staying on top of each new piece of legislation. So when it comes down to it, ADP isn't just a payroll and HR company. We're the company that helps you navigate complexity. Learn more at adp.com.